Tell us all about yourself and why you're running the opening that we're doing this year. Thank you.
I'll let you go this first.
All right.
Washington County.
All right. Well, welcome to Washington County.
Thank you.
I'm excited to be here because this is my home county. I live in Beaverton. Actually, as those of you in Washington County will appreciate, it's a Portland mailing address, a Tigard zip code, unincorporated Washington County, and the Beaverton School District. So we get a little bit of everything. And I think about the amount of time I've spent in this room, and some of you will remember even the fire station where we used to meet years and years ago. So this is a nice homecoming for me. And it is nice to think about how this race is proceeding. I'm really excited about the possibility of serving as Secretary of State, because this is an office that really matters. There are important things that the Secretary of State has to do. I don't imagine that you need any convincing of that, but if you need evidence, you can just look at the headlines around the country. That's the misinformation and disinformation that's being spread, the violence that is being threatened or even carried out against people who are voting or conducting elections, and bad policy that's being passed that makes it harder for people to vote. That is not what we are about in Oregon. And we need a Secretary of State who is ready to stand up for the things that we do here. We have a lot going for us and things to be proud of. This group probably knows that we just passed the 25th anniversary not too long ago of becoming the first state in the country to conduct all our elections by mail. That is a good thing and worth applauding. But we should not make the mistake of thinking that that is inevitable or invulnerable, because there are people out there trying to roll that back. And that's not all. The Secretary of State also has the responsibility of serving as the auditor for the state, with the responsibility of making sure that taxpayer dollars are spent efficiently and effectively, and that programs and agencies are operating appropriately. And if that's not enough, the Secretary of State is also the place where every business in Oregon registers. We have an opportunity to make it easier for entrepreneurs to launch and businesses to succeed. So while I did not expect to be a candidate in this office, I am excited about it, and excited about bringing the record that I've built as your state treasurer over the last 7 years to an office that really needs it. I could talk for a long time. I could exhaust the rest of the time we have tonight, and probably the time for the treasurer candidates as well, talking about the things that we've done in the treasurer's office, and I'm really proud of those things. But I won't do that. Instead, what I'll say is my priorities as Secretary of State. I want to make sure that we are defending the way we conduct elections, making sure that the county clerks and the folks on the front lines have the resources they need, the support they need to carry out that fundamental bedrock principle of how we conduct our state. Make sure that audits are not the result of predetermined outcomes or a political agenda, but an audit agenda that's driven by a realistic risk assessment, and turning the corporation division into a partner rather than a bureaucratic ally or bureaucratic barrier to those businesses. So I'm really excited about building on what we've done in the Treasurer's office, and I think that is reflected in the support our campaign has garnered. All of the former secretaries of state in Oregon who have chosen to endorse in this race, the people who have done the job, people who know what it takes to be successful, have endorsed our campaign, as have former governors, members of Congress, including Congresswoman Bonamici, who represents a lot of Washington County, the Oregonian. I'm excited about the last several weeks here, and I'm excited about our questions to come. I've enjoyed the time with Senator Manning. We spend a lot of time. We could probably give each other speeches at this point. That might be more fun. I should have proposed that as we started here. But I think I speak for him when I say we're looking forward to your questions. And it's, can you believe it? Next week you're going to have your ballots. So I know I don't have to tell Washington County Democrats to vote early, but please do. Senator.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is James Ivory Manning, Jr. I am a candidate for Oregon Secretary of State. Why am I running for Secretary of State? I'm running to restore the integrity and transparency to the office of Secretary of State. I'm running to defend our democracy and preserve vote by mail. I'm running to ensure that our public lands and waterways and forests are not for sale. It's one of the reasons why I have been endorsed by the Sierra Club, 350 Salem, and Congressman Peter DeFazio. As a former eWeb commissioner, Nestle came to our office one day and they offered to purchase parts of the McKenzie River. The McKenzie River is the sole water source for Eugene. And I said to them, let me see if I got this right. You want me to approve selling you our own natural resources so you can sell it back to us? Made no sense to me. So I led the fight and we voted that down because our natural resources, our public lands, and our forests should be there perpetuity for our great-grandchildren and their children yet to be born. As far as voting, protecting democracy, I introduced a bill a few sessions ago to approve ballot return stamped envelopes. The reason that I submitted that bill was because we have people living in rural areas, frontier counties. We have people that are disabled and cannot get out to vote, cast their ballots in a drop box. Oregon is now, because of that, the highest participation in voting in the nation. Let me share with you a little bit about my vision for Oregon moving forward. I see Oregon as a place where we embrace diversity and we use it as a strength. My time in the United States Army, 24 years, diversity was a good thing. One of my assignments was as a United States Army Assistant Inspector General. I led audit teams nationally and internationally. I'm an expert in that area. I received all kinds of accommodations for my efforts. As mentioned, one of the offices of the Secretary of State is the Audit Division. 3 things that I intend to look at. I have been in the Senate for 8 years, and I've heard a consistent drum roll of complaints by Oregonians. 1, ODOT, hiring, contracting for women and minorities. There's an issue there. I intend to look into that. Another thing, have you noticed that our medical system is crumbling? I intend to work with the Oregon Health Department or Health Agency to find out what's going on. Oh, by the way, I introduced the Universal Health Care bill. In 2 to 5 years, Oregon will be the first state in the nation to have a universal single-payer health care system. The other thing that really breaks my heart, the Oregon Employment Department. I received tons and tons of emails from constituents saying that they have not received their earned benefits and some are facing evictions. That's wrong. We need to improve that. Auditing can do a number of things. It can highlight what's working well, but it can also point out where we need to do improvements. I am not a politician. I get things done. My record in the United States Army, as well in the Oregon State Senate, my 8 years, I have passed over 124 pieces of legislation that are now laws. I get results done. Thank you, Washington County.
Thank you both. All right, let's get these questions going. First question. How do you intend to confront election disinformation and threats to election workers?
Well, I've really enjoyed a lot of aspects of the campaign, but one of the best so far is the conversations I've had with county clerks all over the state. At this point, I think we talked to 24 or 25 of the 36. Unfortunately, some of the clerks in the redder states have not, redder counties have not been as eager to talk to me. But virtually everyone that we've talked to has been really helpful in understanding the situations that they confront. They're different across counties. Some of them are physical situations, the offices that they occupy. Some are what kind of resources they have, the relationships that they have with their county commissions, their budgets. Fortunately, I can assure you that the Washington County Elections Division is in very good shape. It's actually the envy of the other counties in terms of their physical space. The relationship with the county commission is good so far as we have a commissioner in here, so I should not say anything else. But it's true. The elections director was very complimentary. And a number of things have come from those conversations. A number of ideas that are intriguing to me, and there are certainly others to add to them. But we're lucky in Washington County, as many of you know, to have access to something called ballot tracks. That is a brand name, and there are other solutions to provide that. But the only reason, those of you who know ballot tracks, you know this, you're nodding. Okay, so most people are into this. Other counties don't have that advantage of being able to opt in to notification. And the only reason I've discovered with these clerks that other counties don't have it is cost. It's pretty manageable in terms of the expense, and I'd like to make sure that every county has that option. Another idea that really I'm encouraged by is an idea that's being experimented with in California, applying the concept of ride-alongs that we are more familiar with in law enforcement to ballots. It's a little bit like the neighbor-to-neighbor program that we pioneered here in Oregon. If people who are unsure about elections get a chance to follow the path of a ballot, they can speak with direct experience about the controls, the protocols, the procedures that are in place to ensure the security of those ballots and the integrity of the process. People remember that experience, and they'll be in a position to debunk or pre-bunk the misinformation is out there. That gives people, I think, a lot more confidence. And the Secretary of State has statutory authority to enforce the way elections are administered. When county clerks are not doing it correctly, I would not hesitate to do that, just as I've used my authority as state treasurer to make sure that the laws are being followed throughout the state.
Thank you. Senator Manning, you want to answer as well?
Thank you. The first thing that I would do, again, a part of my vision, first thing I would do is conduct a sensing session. Sensing session is where I would address all of the county clerks, the workers that are employees of the Secretary of State's office to find out what are their thoughts. This is a people-driven critical division, a part of our system of democracy. If you have no idea what the people, the employees, are experiencing, you can't fix it. It will continue to permeate and be the same. First thing. Second thing, I've started a conversation with the Senate President and the Senate co-chair of Ways and Means for $5 to $10 million. One is to enhance and upgrade security features in all 36 counties. We have to make sure that the election workers have the proper protective materials and clothing. Reason for that, last year, someone mailed out envelopes to Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado, and I think Nevada. One of those envelopes came to Eugene, Lane County, my district. When they opened the envelope, they found it contained a white substance. The good news is that the substance was non-toxic. The FBI is still investigating. The bad news is the optics of the workers, the employees, and the volunteers that are there. With so much mis and disinformation, We have to enhance those security features and provide the necessary protective items that they need. The third part, which is critically important, we don't have a unified baseline training that applies to all 36 elected offices. We have to do that. I will institute that so that we have a baseline. We have some county offices that when they leave out, there is no one left. No one left there. So having the ability to have someone trained where you can move over that understands the minimum standards that are required by law to continue making sure that vote by mail, that our election process is safe, secure, and every ballot is counted is essential. Getting rid of the mis and disinformation is all included in that. Thank you for that question.
As Secretary of State, you will need to oversee the modernization of our public campaign finance reporting system, including meeting new campaign finance rules. What experience have you had overseeing new IT system implementations?
I was really excited last budget session. The co-chair of the Senate co-chair of the Ways and Means Committee is in the room. We know this, so we can check with her on all of these things. To sit in front of the General Government Subcommittee when I presented the Treasury budget, and I got to say the following sentence. I'm going to tell you, Senators and Representatives, about a statewide IT project that you've never heard of. I paused for effect and then said, because it worked. That was one of Treasury. We have a lot of experience at Treasury doing this kind of work, and it really matters because we manage a portfolio of $140 billion, a pension fund that's almost $100 billion, tens of billions of dollars of state debt, hundreds of thousands of accounts, $380 billion of transactions every year. So we have to deal with IT all the time. And if you think about the security, the top two targets for cybersecurity intrusions are financial institutions and government. Guess what? We're both. So we have to take this very seriously. The other thing that I think is relevant in this question around the implementation of campaign finance reform is how to implement complicated new policy in a way that works. And I'm really proud, I hope you are as proud as I am, of the fact that Oregon is the first state in the country to operate an opt-out retirement system for people in the private sector who don't otherwise have it. That has been a big problem, and now, 6 years in, we have 130,000 people who have funded IRAs to the tune of $260 million. People ask whether we meet our projections on that, and I laugh and say, what projections? There were no projections, because no one had done this before. But that is the difference between the experience I had in the legislature, where I was a proponent, leading author of that legislation, and the experience I've had as treasurer in implementing that, turning a complicated concept into reality that people can really feel. And that's what's going to be needed when it comes to campaign finance reform. I'm very glad that you, Senator, and others passed that legislation and that we can work to reduce the influence of money in politics. But the worst possible outcome, I think, could be following the passage of that legislation with a poor implementation that would cause people to feel more skeptical and more cynical. So I think it's essential to have someone in the Secretary of State's office with a demonstrated track record of success in turning those complicated ideas into reality and results that people can feel. That's the record that I'm going to bring from the Treasurer's office to the Secretary of State's office.
Senator Manning?
Yes, campaign finance reform. Been working on it for a number of years. The treasurer just kind of stole my thunder a little bit when he mentioned that I helped pass that out of the Senate, so I'll take that. Thank you, sir. That's critically important. Right now, there's too much dark money coming into our elections. Citizens United, the Supreme Court got it wrong. They got it wrong. Corporations, money are not people. I have yet to see a dollar bill fill out a ballot. If anybody has seen a dollar bill on cartoon or whatever, fill out a ballot that was legal, let me know. I want to be a part of that. As far as cyber security, I am, my time in the United States Army, I still have a secret security clearance. Overseas, I ran communications out of what we call a SCIF. It's a secure location. Most of it is in a vaulted area, concrete, steel. I had my own VPN, virtual personal network. I am a level 2 anti-terrorist certified instructor. I know a lot about cybersecurity, what it entails, the infrastructure that it entails. The best part about cybersecurity is education, making sure the people are informed what to look out for, what to avoid. Here's one of the things that I want you to know about me. I believe in people. My time, 24 years in the United States Army, I had to make split-second decisions, life or death, for my soldiers that were under my charge. I never lost one soldier in 24 years because of my sound judgment and my quick thinking. That's what you're looking for in the next Secretary of State. Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question, and I think it's a good one, so I'm going to start with Senator Manning just so we can do a little rotation back and forth. Okay, so in your opinion, what is the most important job of the Secretary of State?
The most important job of the Secretary of State is going out to the elementary schools and talking to the kiddos. That's the most important job. When people come to my office, especially school kids, they ask me, what is the best part of your job? And I look at them and I let them know, it's you. The most important job of the Secretary of State is to make sure we are grooming the future leadership of our great state. The most important job of the Secretary of State is to restore transparency and integrity to the office of Secretary of State. The most important job of the next Secretary of State is to make sure we are protecting democracy, preserving vote by mail, making sure that we are protecting our public lands, waterways, and forest lands, and let them know it's not for sale. The most important job of the next Secretary of State is not to be a politician, but a public servant. I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. Vote JamesManning.com.
So I think I agree with a lot of what you said, Senator, in particular that being in front of young people might be the most fun part of the job. I've certainly had that experience as state treasurer. But I think for me, the most important part of the Secretary of State's job is one that spans all the areas of responsibility that we've already talked about tonight, and that is restoring confidence in our government generally. When I started the comments tonight talking about all the things that are happening in the rest of the world, I don't think it's about just altering the outcomes of individual elections. I think it's part of an effort to undermine our faith in ourselves and our ability to do big things together. And so I think the Secretary of State has a wealth of opportunities to build back confidence in the way we do things across all realms of policy. It starts with voting. It extends to audits. And when we build that confidence, when we help people feel the confidence in participating in elections, that's when we can aspire to big things again. It feels to me right now that one of the biggest problems in Oregon is the gap between our good intentions and our ability to follow through, our execution. We're all here because we believe in the power of government to make lives better for people. That's why we do this work, I think. It's certainly why I'm in the job that I'm in and why I'd like to be Secretary of State. But there are a lot of people around Oregon and around the country who say, it's not for me. Government can't do anything right. Why should I participate? And while we've done tons of good things in Oregon to make it easy for people to vote, people still have to choose to vote. So we've got a lot of work in the Secretary of State's office and in this room to make sure that people take advantage of the ways that we've made it easy for people to vote and that they stay engaged in between elections so that we can build up the confidence to know where our tax dollars are being spent, that programs and institutions are running appropriately and effectively. And the Secretary of State has a unique role to play in all of those. So for me, the unifying theme is unlocking the aspiration that can come from rebuilt confidence in state government. That's why I'm really excited about building on the record that we've established at Treasury. You know, running a that's the hook here. That's time. I'm wrapping up. I promise, Madam Chair. You know, my hometown team here. I'm getting the hook. This is kind of. I'm so kidding. Just kidding. I'm just teasing. I loved my time in the legislature. I learned a lot. But what I've learned after that, I think, is a distinguishing feature in this race. While I've been treasurer, we've had 4 secretaries of state. And I think that turnover has really hampered the ability of the office to do the work that Oregonians depend on it for. And that's what I want to bring, the professionalism, stability, and competence that I think the Secretary of State's office really needs. So I really appreciate you making time for us. You're probably about done with us. You're ready to hear who's going to be my successor as state treasurer. And I appreciate all of you being in touch. You know where to find me. I look forward to continued conversation. Hope to earn your vote. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.